News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth with AllanSpices.com.
And I'm Maximilian with the big one, Joe.
Talk to me.
Happy Gorilla Suit Day.
It's how coincidental. I was wondering why Allan walked in wearing a gorilla suit today. I couldn't figure it out, but you're ahead of the curve, right, man? Yeah.
Well, you know, where would a movie from the 50s or 60s be without a gorilla suit?
National or international?
Just Gorilla Suit Day.
Oh, boy.
I think gorillas know no borders.
Yeah. How many good... Yeah, okay. How many
Horrible.
cheesy 70s sitcoms have featured a gorilla suit? How many, Carol Burnett? I'm just thinking of whatever. I mean,
My fondest one ever was, of course, the Beverly Hillbillies.
I don't remember that one. So
where Granny took the gorilla over and turned it into a house servant.
Oh, gosh.
Hilarious.
She put him to work.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Okay.
And
well, that's a good one.
And yes, there are other ones today, but they're more benign in comparison.
Yeah, let's stay focused. Maybe we ought to stay focused. Yeah, you can't top Gorilla Suit Day. And so, folks,
I think we're good there.
if you own a gorilla suit, maybe you're one of our furry friends. You know, a lot of the furries have some pretty good costumes or whatever. Let us know. Send us pictures. I wonder if Deuce has a gorilla suit. Somehow I could picture him.
I know Nick Toombs has got several.
I think that's a good way to probably stave off the cold is just a gorilla suit.
Oh, that thing would be nice and warm right now, I'll tell you what.
All right, well, get in touch with us. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. And especially if you got pictures, send those in, and we'd love to see them. So, well, Allan, anything interesting going on out there?
No.
In the Mid-South?
I don't know. I had to move the penguins this morning and
Yeah.
feed the polar bear. And yeah, welcome to actually having a real winter in the Mid-South for a whole week.
It's weird because it feels like to me it's been here for like a month. It's I guess we just get spoiled. It reminds me of why I'm glad I don't live in Chicago anymore.
Let's say, I lived in northern Kentucky for a short period of time. You lived in Chicago, and we've seen what happens when you get 18 inches of snow overnight.
Right.
And I was humorously musing on the drive in this morning as the snow is blowing around me, and I went, wow, the Mid-South is going to be so amazed at how long it takes those big piles of scraped up snow and ice to go away.
Yeah, they don't just go away.
They're going to be here till March, everybody. So
yeah, we got a little bit of a warming trend coming up, folks. So hang in there. But in honor of all that, there's going to be probably a little bit of a focus on, for example, today in Great Moments in Building History, we're going to talk about not just one structure. We're going to kind of go through, take a hopscotch through time. We're going to talk about the Inuit people, igloos, the Vikings and their long, what are they called? Long homes?
yeah, the longhouses. Yeah.
Longhouses, and then the Amish home. Basically, what we're talking about is Inuit, Viking, and Amish home design and the art of thermodynamics. You talk about home design that really understands air pressure. They understand how to keep warm in challenging situations and everything. And so there's things we can learn about that will help us with keeping warm too. With that in mind as well, Allan, I don't know if this is it. Alternative energy and energy storage, is that any way related to what we're with our temperature?
Absolutely. Last time we were here, we talked about planned points of failure.
Yeah.
How to turn stuff off once things go wrong. And this time, we're going to talk about planned points of power.
Okay.
And they're not necessarily what you think they are.
Right. Okay.
So,
well, and also in that same vein, I guess I have a thing that's related. It was more along emergency heat sources. There's things you can do pretty cost effectively. You've heard of the Crisco candle and these different terracotta techniques you can use for keeping warm in a pinch. And it's good to know this because, we dodged a bullet here in the Mid-South, but, boy, Nashville, look at all the power outages and everything they're dealing with. So having some of this backup these backup sources to keep warm is a good thing. So, and then one more thing now before the Snowmageddon rolled in, Max, you watched The Outsiders musical, and I saw it about 2 days later. And so what? I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, it's essentially my essentially title for this is Stay Gold: The Outsiders and the Dramatic Use of Lighting in Home Improvements.
Yeah, see, that's what I was looking. What was noteworthy, Alan, is they had some really good songs, but what was, Broadway's going a different route these days with more minimal sets and using the dramatic use of lighting and even just moving a few little things on the stage to create effects and everything. And I was thinking we can do the same thing in our own home. I mean, and so there's really good lessons to learn there. And that one was particularly interesting.
Shout out to Kristen Bennett over at the Orpheum. Thanks again for hooking me up.
Oh yeah, we love Kristen. So, but if you've had any drama, if you're dealing with something, or maybe you've got some good cold weather hacks, we'd love to hear from you once again at 901-683-0989. But before we get to any more of these topics, let's get to our must-have item of the week, which I posted on our Facebook page at Tool Talk Radio. And Alan, I probably should have cleaned it before I brought it in, but tell people what I'm holding up here.
Well, you're holding up a spray bottle.
Yeah.
Good old-fashioned, easy fill spray bottle, and yours has the more advanced spray head.
That's what I was
So
thinking.
that's not the little cheap one. That's the $9.99 guy at the big box store.
It looks a little bit like a duck.
It's good. Yeah. Well,
Yep.
Max, this is one of these where I didn't skimp out. I did get the I spent the extra $4 or $5, Alan, to get this. But so it's a 32-ounce spray bottle. It's got a 30-foot reach. If you set the stream to that, I think it will reach 30 feet.
I was just about to ask what the blast radius was.
It's 30 feet, but the thing is, it's got the adjustable nozzle where you could either do a full stream or you could mist it. And I'm going to be using it this weekend to help finish. I'm making great progress on my ceiling at home. I'm stripping. Our living room, for whatever reason, has a popcorn ceiling. No other room in the house does, and we're sick of it, and we finally decided to get rid of it. So I'm kind of on the last stretch of getting rid of that, but this one works great, Alan, and it also has this nozzle makes a difference. It's funny, you know how that here I don't know if you can hear that, folks, but anyway,
yeah, it's got a good mechanism.
It's got a good power, because if you're spraying a whole ceiling, man, you don't want to have the little wimpy one. It starts to wear out your wrist too after a while.
It kind of makes me think a little bit of a shotgun, because you have the concentrated radius, which is like a deer slug, and then you could spray. Then you can turn the nozzle out to have a wider burst, like a blunderbuss or whatever.
Yeah. It's got good adjustment, Max. And then the other thing is when you open it and you have to refill it, it's got a nice wide mouth. It reminds me of those Mickey's Big Mouth beers we drank when we were young and broke and everything like that, the big wide mouth. But all that stuff adds up to a better experience. It holds 32 ounces, so you're not coming off the ladder and having to refill it as often.
You're not having to refill every 3 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, for certain projects, I'd say and it's useful to keep in the house. I would definitely use it for other things as well, but it's good. It's worth the $3 or $4 extra bucks that you spend on it.
Now, in your collective experiences of using things like this, what is the most unconventional liquid you have put inside one of these spray bottles?
No. I bet. Before he says anything, I'm going to guess it involves the kitchen, but go ahead.
Well, we actually use that exact bottle a lot in floor treatments.
Oh, wait. What do you mean?
You get a dry buff mop.
Okay.
Big dry buff mop,
Yeah.
and you get basically liquid floor wax, and you out in front of yourself and keep buffing.
Oh.
But the nice thing about that is it's able to handle a little bit heavier of liquid.
Yeah.
A little more viscous liquid can be sprayed with that. So we use those a lot in floor care.
Really?
Yep.
No, I was sure like you use it to baste something, or I don't know what. I could see this.
No, one of those full of apple juice on the barbecue grill is absolutely invaluable. But since you're going to beg for a food reference, but the biggest use I've found for that is the liquid floor waxes, and Basically the handle on that is heavy enough that you can hook it through a belt loop or the side pocket of your pants.
Yeah.
And that way you can just kind of holster it there. You're getting your mopping done. You need a little more shine. You hit it a couple of times and just keep going. I'll be actually doing some of that Monday.
Well, and the one, not to beat this into the ground, but the thing that's nice about this is you know how important this is, Alan. The way they've designed this and the different curves and the different edges. If this thing falls off a 6-foot ladder, it can handle a few. It can handle a little abuse, which is important. Because how often have we had something where you drop it once, it breaks, and it's done? So this one,
many times,
this one can handle the job. So, but it's good. It's got all the features that are making it easier to do. I should probably take some pictures of I do have some pictures of my ceiling, so maybe I'll do a little before and after there. But we're pretty eager to have it out of our lives. So. All right, well, you guys, it's cold out. We're still, the storm's not behind us yet. So when we come back, we're going to talk about alternative energy storage, and some creative ways to stay warm.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Resident? Occupant? Free sample of lemon thyme.
Ooh, give it here.
Homer, that's dishwashing liquid.
Yeah, but what are you going to do?
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And we do not endorse that, Max. We don't want lawsuits here. No. Okay. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. And off the air, today is National Gorilla Suit Day, or it's just Gorilla Suit Day. I guess the whole world's invited to celebrate. And off the air, we're discussing maybe some of the better gorilla suits that we've seen. And Allan, are we including Sasquatch or?
It's a monkey suit. You're covered in fur. You gotta,
because it's a debate what Sasquatch is.
It's primate adjacent.
Yeah, it's close to a gorilla.
Because you said Andre the Giant played him in a movie.
Yeah,
right?
Andre the Giant in the $6 Million Man played Bigfoot. They had him all furred up. Eddie Murphy had a pretty decent gorilla suit in one of his movies.
See, I wish folks out there, if you have good gorilla suit stories, let us know. I seem to remember a trend in like I said, 60s and 70s comedies. I thought on the Dick Van Dyke Show there was like a gorilla mask or something like that, but I don't know. Whatever, folks. If you've got any good gorilla suit stories, it's on the table there. So, but I don't know what we're gonna call this. But for lack of a better term, we're gonna call this a cosmic homeowner segment. Oh, go ahead, Max. There we go.
And now,
You didn't
the
prime
Cosmic
us.
Homeowner.
Yeah, sorry, man.
Tool Talk Radio.
I wasn't sure if this is a tool tale or a cosmic homeowner. We're gonna, look, folks, we're just coming in out of the storm. We don't promise a whole lot today, but anyway. Well, Allan, alternative energy and energy storage, and then
Right.
What do you mean by that? I know we teased that last week, but
All right. Let's take required uses.
okay.
So we're sitting here and we're thinking, all right, basically our real needs are water,
Yeah.
a roof, and heat. Now, if you got those three things, you're pretty much done.
You don't want any food in there? Or,
Well, I'm just saying, as far as just absolute,
pure survival, not
absolute, end of the days, because, there is an infinite number and amount of pre-made, prepackaged foods available to you.
yeah.
Yeah. So, unless you go to the big grocery store today, in which case I think the only thing left there is vegan food and
Yeah.
some others, because
Some skim milk.
Yeah,
That's all.
it's-
Yeah, nobody wants skim milk.
nobody
in the
wants
Mid-South.
the
I
vegan
noticed
food
that.
or the skim milk.
Okay.
So, when we start talking about this, last time we talked about, like, why would you have breakers in your home? And that's because, in the event of any form of failure, or in the event you want to do some work, you can turn the power off.
Right.
All right. Well, This past week has shown us that occasionally we have to do without something. So the first thing I want to bring up for anybody in the power tool business is a lovely word called a power inverter.
Ah.
And what is a power inverter? Well, no matter which brand, and we all know we've had to choose a brand because of the batteries. So whether you're a brand A, brand B, or brand X, you have a battery system that works on multiple tools.
Right.
And they range anywhere from 18 volt to 80 at this point.
Right.
Trying to go through the brands. Every one of them sells a power inverter. So what is that? A power inverter is a device that alternates DC current. A battery uses direct current.
Right.
And direct current only flows so far, and it does a really good job for what it's designed to do. But most of our appliances are AC. They're designed for alternating current. They're designed for that higher voltage, 110.
Wait,
So-
hang on. I'm curious because these. So you're saying like my drill that has a battery pack to
That
it.
has an 18 volt battery pack.
That's one type of electricity, and then when I plug the drill in
Into
that's
the
another
inverter, you can now plug in a 110 AC device into the inverter, and it will work beautifully.
But those are two different types of electricity.
They are two very
Now
different
that's
theories.
interesting. I didn't
So
know that.
The inverter adds AC to a DC current, aka your battery will now operate a fan
Right.
or a light
Yeah, because when
or charge your phone
yeah.
or charge your laptop or keep you in communication. So for anybody that has power tools, and of course if you're listening to this show, there's a pretty good chance you got power tools.
Well, Alan, I feel like you should describe what it looks like. You brought one in once.
Yes.
But you should describe, because I think these are things everybody should have, you know. If you send off your kid to college, I think they should have this. I think they should have it in
I
their
think
car,
they need
you know.
a couple of batteries,
Right.
a battery charger, and a power inverter. A power inverter can be, it's basically a little box. It connects to the battery and should have a standard 110 outlet on it and have a little breaker switch.
As I recall, what is it? It's about, like, I don't know, 10 inches long, about
It's about the
6
size
or
of a
8 inches
sandwich.
tall. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's about the size of a sandwich.
depending on the brand you get or
Right.
something. And then it has a couple plugs to it.
And
And you
that's
stick
it.
the battery on.
Yeah.
And it's amazingly effective, you know, especially if
And-
you're using it judiciously.
Well,
You
again, if you're charging a phone, your 18 volt battery that goes on your drill will charge your phone for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your phone just doesn't use that much power.
Right.
So, number one, a power inverter, especially when, you know, we've had a week-long winter event like this, makes, and let me tell you something. If you've got to go out to the shed for something
Oh, yeah.
and you're going to be out there for a minute or two, being able to take your shop lamp with you and hang it up and plug it in and turn it on,
Mm-hmm.
this beats a flashlight hands down.
Now, I got a question with regards to a power inverters, because I'm thinking of these PSAs and these warnings that I've heard about generators, making sure that you keep them at a proper distance to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. Do power inverters have the same level of, let's just say, like a output that might be concerning, or do they not really emit anything that is
Very
of concern?
good question, and they do nothing.
Yeah, there's
It
no
is simply
ga-
a battery.
Yeah.
You know, you've already charged it. So when we start talking about generators, and we will talk about those here in just a minute, you are talking about something that is powered by another source, whether it's diesel, whether it's gasoline, or whether it's natural gas. You actually have a combustion engine driving the turnstile that generates the AC power. We're talking about a power inverter, which is taking a stored energy source, aka your power battery, and it's adding the ability to be AC to it so that it is now portable.
Well, Alan, we have these must-have items of the week that we mentioned, and honestly, I don't care whether you work with tools. I don't care what you do. This really should be in everybody's home. One or two of these, at least.
Yeah,
they're just handy, man. They're that's where things are going.
Right, there are
battery
three
powered.
things I think every household should have. One is a water key.
Oh yeah.
Let's just be blunt and honest.
Get everybody in the family their own water key.
Oh
man.
my gosh!
Yeah.
And it needs to be hung up someplace very prominent. I don't care how you want to gussy it up,
Right.
But it needs to be hung up plain and simple. 2, you need a power inverter. 3, you need a good old-fashioned camp stove. Propane powered camp stove.
Yeah.
This way, just like when you go out to the park and you want to have a little Sunday outing, you can break out your little grill. Well, I got news for you. This little grill doesn't care about AC power or anything else. It's propane powered. You light it with a prepared lighter or a match.
Yeah.
And guess what? You can cook. You can cook anywhere, any place, anytime.
Well, I got a question before we get to any of your
now
other
that one
energy
needs
sources.
ventilation, Max.
Yeah. Well, I do have a question for you, and so okay, I guess here we go once again, another on-air confession, but I don't care, whatever. So with this with this, when the storm was coming this week, I go to the big box store literally every day. I mean, and so I was thinking about it, and when it was coming in, nobody knew. We were getting forecasts of 20 inches of snow and ice and long term. We really did dodge a bullet, but I was noticing, I'm like, I probably really do need to start thinking about buying my own generator at home. I didn't know the generator, but of course those are all gone. Those are all sold out at the store. But I ordered one, and I've got questions about it before I fire this baby up. So I think that's going to fit right in with our alternative energy sources.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, well, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to continue when we come back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I made my first chair when I was 5, but the quality of the wood was wanting.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989, especially if you're wearing a gorilla suit to stay warm. I don't know how thermally great those things are, honestly, Allan.
You're covered in fur.
Okay. Well, but what are the linings are meant for comfort, because you don't want to. What if you're wearing a gorilla suit in July?
No. You have never been a mascot before, have you?
No, I'm happy to say so. Okay, but
I spent years in one of those suits. They are not designed to do anything to you but sweat you to death.
Okay, but today is Gorilla Suit Day, and we're I guess I always wonder who starts these holidays. Is it somebody that maybe that's what they did for a living? They wore a gorilla suit, and you've seen them everywhere. I
think it was Mad Magazine.
Mad Magazine. Back in the day, you might have seen a gorilla suit out in front of a guy wearing a suit, spinning a sign in front of a car dealership or something, or a restaurant or something. That was just a typical promotion.
You did that early in the spring while it was cool.
Yeah.
Because you didn't do that nonsense in August, man. Let me tell you.
Well, Allan, so before the break, we were talking about alternative energy sources and energy storage, which, you brought up the power inverter, which, okay, let's be fair. This thing is it's very portable. Like I said, I would send your kids off to college with this. I literally think every home should have one or two of these. It's a quick, if the power goes out, or maybe you just want to stop, maybe you just want to use a different way to power something, or maybe you're way out in the backyard and you want to just have another energy source. It's great. It's just literally battery powered. So
I have a question with regards to some of the common fuel and kindling that we use for these things. I'm wondering what it is about propane that makes it very good for fueling these devices.
Oh, well, actually, Max, that was almost exactly my question, because hang on to that, because before the break, I was saying I just bought a generator, and it's powered by gas, and it's
Right.
also powered by propane, which the reason that appealed to me is because when I was watching all the YouTube videos and when just in talking to people, what I found was the biggest problem they have with their generators is, for one thing, you're supposed to buy like premium gas and you should use like a gas additive because the reason being is because sometimes these things could sit for a year or so, and sometimes people leave gas in the system and it gets there's water that builds up and then it gets kind of gummy or something, and so that's usually one of the biggest problems with these things. So
Right.
my idea was propane seems cleaner, and maybe like I thought, okay, I could get a couple of propane tanks and just leave them in my garage for however long or something, but I've never had one of these, so I guess before I fire it up, I'm curious what your recommendation is.
Okay.
Propane's a lot more expensive too, though, so I don't know.
Well, it is, and that is because propane is a non-oxidizing molecular bond.
See, Max,
How is
that's
that?
exactly what I was going to say about that. It's a what?
It is a non-oxidizing. All right, so what does that mean?
You like to use big words. That basically to me means, okay,
It don't rust.
It doesn't rust.
Okay, let's
You could
talk
have said that.
Well, let's talk about degrading. Degrading is due to some form of chemical reaction.
Okay.
So we know about like wrought iron. If you leave it out, it gets rusty. It gets wet, it gets rusty. Okay, well, we have to do all kinds of chemical behind the scenes things to turn rusty objects into metallic objects that don't rust. So we have to add a lot of other stuff. The reason your food goes bad is either something's growing on it or it's oxidizing and it goes stale.
Okay.
Propane does not stale. Now, because...
Is it because it's airtight in there?
Well, no, it's just propane itself is actually that stable.
Oh,
and then
okay.
it's stored in an airtight container. And propane also compresses well. So, there's a whole lot of reasons why that particular gas became the gas of choice.
Yeah.
So propane is it is, it's a carbon-based gas, and it will burn, it will oxidize rapidly in the presence of a flame, but it does not oxidize in the tank.
Right.
So your gas in your car, when we talk about, somebody will talk about, oh, that car hadn't run in 5 years, the gas has gone bad.
When you say gone bad, that's what I was curious about, because usually what you have is water vapor in there. You have it gets gummy. What's happening
there you go.
to it?
It has begun to precipitate out a lot of the hydrocarbons.
Okay.
So, the whole point of we make gasoline from crude oil. Well, that's kind of where it wants to turn back into eventually.
Right.
And your gas engine is not designed to run crude oil.
Yeah.
Now a diesel engine,
so it's trying to revert back to its original state.
it's gonna degrade back to what it was. Diesel is, a diesel engine will run on any form of oil, basically.
Yeah.
You could run a diesel engine on peanut oil, and it's got enough stored energy that the engine will burn it and will make it work. So in the alternative energy world, when you start talking about propane power or natural gas power, you're looking at a very stable product, so you never have to worry about that propane tank going bad.
Well, that's what appealed to me, because, like, for one thing, I don't love the idea. We have a lot going on in our garage. We use it to work. I don't love the idea of having a big gas tank out there just with gas, because we don't use gas lawnmowers anymore. We wouldn't use this for anything except for this generator. So I'm like, I just don't want gas just sitting in the garage. So it's like,
well, you do
propane,
want one canister.
But I guess,
you
propane
do want
was
one.
really appealing to me, because I'm like, if we don't have a power outage for 3 or 4 years, whatever, it's stable. So
right. Now,
it's more expensive, but
right. Now, if you're worried about something happening to the propane, then you can have what we like to call the emergency box. So you can build you a little, Mr. Handyman over there.
Yeah.
Build yourself a flame retardant little box to put it in. so that the exterior of the tank isn't rusting,
Right.
sitting there, so you can isolate it and you don't have to worry about it.
Well, the one
It's not going to be exposed to the sun. It's not going to sit there and get too hot or something like that. And it's not something I would store in a bedroom. I would definitely put it in the outside shed or out in the garage where it's more or less harmless.
Yeah.
Now, are propane containers affected by colder weather if you store it?
Well, it is a metal tank, but it's not going to be an appreciable difference. It's not that big.
Yeah, I'm
it
not too
can't
worried
shrink
about
or
that.
expand that much.
Well, I do have at one PSA, I think most people know this, but I don't know if everybody practices it. But if you do have a generator, the one thing is that I've heard from everybody is don't leave gas in the tank. If you're using it during a power outage or something, it's better to just run all the gas out of the system. That's what they said, because
Yes.
if it's stored up, so don't, even though the power came back on, just let it work its way out of the system, and then that's usually the best way. But also spend the extra money, use premium gas, and put a gas additive. What are the ones that pull the humidity out of the gas?
Well, yeah, you're trying to do. You're trying to prevent any form of failure because this is an emergency piece of equipment.
Yeah, and it could sit for another year before you use it again. So.
And then what's the safe distance for when you do have to fire it up to prevent monoxide?
Oh, yeah, that's important too. You don't. I know this, Max, because basically this thing. Just think of the muffler or the exhaust pipe on your car.
It is. It is.
You got to point it out away from the house, and also even if this thing's like I've seen videos where this thing was maybe 4 feet from the house, but it was pointing there, and it melted like the siding and everything like that. You got to be careful.
All right, the generators we have now are far better built than the generators of 20 years ago.
Well, that's true.
And the generator of 20 years ago was, a miracle because you had a generator, you could go fire this thing up, and you had backup power.
Right.
So the biggest thing here is A, where are you going to use it? B, it has to have ventilation. You don't want to use this thing in the house, kind of thing. And one of the things I've noticed, if you have a garage or something like that, you can have, and a lot of people don't do this, that you need to kind of have your little emergency corner.
Oh yeah, where all of this stuff, is safely
and that way
stored.
it's all in one place. And if you want to, even make it a little metal cabinet of some kind, and that way you know where everything is stored, including of maybe some cans of backup gas, or propane for your generator.
Now, is there a good time, like how during this cold weather and everything, like say, like even if you don't have to move your car anywhere to like run it a little bit, like just to keep the kind of engine like nice and warm and everything. Even if you don't need the generator during an emergency, how often should you fire it up just to kind of keep the engine,
keep it moving?
Yeah, keep it moving and fresh.
Okay, well, depending upon the type of generator you have, if you have a big, giant commercial building, in the case of a medical facility, you test them every week.
Okay.
In the case of a general everyday building, they might have a maintenance program where they test them once a month. I would definitely say for a home generator that is part of your spring and fall cleaning.
So put 8 ounces of gas in there and just run it.
A Dixie cup worth of gas in it. Fire the little darling up. Let it run. Make sure the biggest thing is also make sure your oil is clean.
Oh, yeah, the oil. Take care of your oil in there.
So all of these things said, you've got, reliable emergency equipment.
Okay, pretty good stuff, man. So, all right, well, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Remember before when I was talking about smelly garbage standing around being useless? That was a metaphor. I was actually talking about you.
News Talk 98.9, The roar of Memphis.
I mean, the minute you explain metaphor, you destroy it. I'm sorry, Alan. I'm a purist.
And he is a robot.
Exactly. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com. As a matter of fact, Allan is going to be making an appearance very soon that you can come meet Allan, and he'll have his spices with him. We'll talk about that. That's a little tease. And our buddy Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. I think we have a text, but I'm really hoping, too, somebody might weigh in on today is Gorilla Suit Day. That's a worldwide celebration, and we would love to hear your thoughts or maybe your experiences of wearing a gorilla suit. And how do you keep it clean? How do you keep it groomed?
Ooh.
How do you make it? What's a way to make it look realistic? Because
or keep the ticks and fleas out.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, was it used for comedy? Was it used for drama? We need to know these things. So. But, Max, who's on the line? You said we got somebody on the line.
You got to be careful with this one, Denise.
Oh, Denise. Okay. What does Denise have to say?
She said, could you make a couple of recommendations for generator brands?
Okay. Now, Denise, I can't give you brands because if we're not sponsored by it. But I can say this. So this is Allan, keep me in line here. I will say this because I did some research, too, before making my purchase. And there are a couple of big box stores in town that everybody knows what I'm talking about. And if you look for one that has a yellow color to the thing, you'll find one that's got a pretty reliable, it's rated very well. I've seen reports from this company where I've seen these YouTube videos where people were saying, how does it work 5 years later? And they fire up. They're very reliable. They start on the first pull, those type of things. But my thing, Denise, is I just personally, I want as much redundancy as I can. That's why I like having the propane and the gas generator together.
Speaking of,
the dual fuel. So.
We actually have another question related to that.
Okay. I hope that helps, Denise. So
if a texter 3442 says, doesn't the output of a generator change on the propane? I guess that means if you use propane, doesn't the output change?
I wondered that too. I think it does have less power, doesn't it, Allan? Or
all right.
Or is it negligible?
You're still driving an engine.
Okay.
It basically has to. All right, in large engines, you need 1,800 RPM to produce a 110 60 hertz signal.
Here we go. Okay. I didn't follow that math, but I'll trust you on that.
All right. Okay. So basically, you're firing up an engine, and you need 1,800 revolutions per minute.
Okay.
And that is going to produce your 110 volts, 60 hertz signal.
Yeah.
Whether it's water, hamsters, camels, gasoline, propane, doesn't matter. The engine doesn't care. It's when it reaches the proper speed and output, it's going to produce electricity.
So propane. So overall, the answer to this question is it's not a big difference.
If it's a properly engineered, if it's a properly engineered device, it shouldn't make that much difference.
Right.
It's a matter of the engineering of the generator.
Okay.
I think with regards to combustibles to use in the generator, we got texter 3504 says ethanol-free gas. Use ethanol-free for generator, mower, and blower. And yes, a generator produces less power on propane.
Okay. All right. Well, because thank you. What was that number?
3504.
3504. Okay. That's good to know because, I wondered about that if there's a difference with compression or something where.
It's a matter of how the motor does its power conversion.
Okay.
I'm used to working on diesels. And, big old diesel generator that runs a hospital is about the size of a back end of an 18-wheeler. It's about as loud as an 18-wheeler because basically it's got a giant, in the one I worked in was, basically had a big old giant diesel engine in it.
Right.
And, we balanced that baby out to 1,800 RPMs and power was produced. Now, a lot depends on the output, how much energy you need produced. And that's where different fuels produce different responses.
Okay, because you just made me think of something. Because I had a second answer for Denise too, and so now correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm very new to the generator game. But when I was looking at because there's the price points are all over the map. You can get one for $500 or $2,000.
Yeah, you can spend as much as you want. Yes,
and some of the features I don't care about, so I didn't care about. I'm usually along the lines of I want the fewest parts that can break.
Right.
I want the least amount of features, but I want the most power. So
right.
One of the things too, there was a formula that's on the side of the on the description, and it says, okay, here's how you calculate what size generator you need. Because for example, okay, if your fridge uses whatever it is, I don't know, is it 120 or what? It'll tell you the wattage that it's going to use. And then you calculate the size of the motor that you want based on how much you're trying to power, right?
Right. You get into wattage. You get into your wattage and your amperage.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have a 15 amp breaker, because you have a total of 15 amps of usage before that breaker goes, nope, you're trying to use too much.
Yeah.
And shuts off. So that's why, so welcome to electricity, and a lot depends on how much stuff are you trying to run.
And it'll differ depending on when the power goes out. Because if it goes out when it's temperatures like this, well, maybe you don't need your refrigerator. Maybe you put all your food in the garage.
Set it on the hood of the car. It'll
right.
Be all right.
Just do whatever. So it's and then in the summer, of course, maybe you have a couple window units.
Which also
somewhere.
Brings up the one of my favorite topics in the whole world. It brings up the house battery.
Yeah, yep.
Which
soon all of us will probably have those too.
The house battery is the one major invention that I think we have sorely lacked since Benjamin Franklin decided to go fly a kite.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is, in my estimation, going to be the game changer going forward. If I were building a new house right now, one of the first conversations I would have with the builder is, where is my house battery going to go?
Yeah.
Because that frees you for, again, the size of the battery, the X amount of time that you don't need the grid.
Well, that's the idea. You want to be grid free, or also maybe lessen your. We talked about it many times about it's the same way you use your laptop computer. Sometimes it's plugged in. When it's fully charged, you may just work with it unplugged, and now you're not using any power from your house. Well, it's the same thing with a house battery. I mean, it's the same principle.
Welcome to alternative powers. They are there. It depends on what you want to use and how much you want to spend. But I'm going to go back to my original statement. You need three things in every single house.
Yeah.
You need a power inverter for your battery system. You need a water key to be able to shut off that water. And I'm still going to throw in, you need a propane-powered cook stove. Just a little cute one from your local camping store or whoever. And that way you've got the ability to cook. And if nothing else, have a little bit of light no matter where you are, no matter what's going on.
There you go. So, Max, that it for the text?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Well, not bad. That's pretty good information, I think. And I think a lot of people are dealing with these things right now. I would love to know if anybody out there had to use their generator this week. We really lucked out, I have to say. We didn't. North and south of us just got.
Yeah, our listeners
pounded,
down in
man.
Oxford have definitely been using their generators.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a video where somebody in Nashville, they had to turn their generator off because their HOA didn't like the noise that it was producing. And so
they got a permission slip, let's just say an exemption, so they can continue to use it.
Yeah, after they went to the news and talked about how obnoxious their HOA was. And then
so Bobby Dooley isn't as heartless, I guess.
Yeah,
I think.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, hour one of Tool Talk Radio is in the can, but we have a lot to get to. Including our great moments in building history. And also, when we come back, we're going to dive into the mind of Max.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com. and our pal Max over there behind the glass. We'd love to hear from you, especially let us know how you're dealing with the snow, with all of the ice. Hopefully everybody's staying safe and getting around as much as they can. You know, the road, some places on the roads are pretty good, Alan, but some are, you know, if you live in a quiet neighborhood, man, the roads are still basically ice.
I live somewhere just south of the tundra.
Yeah.
And about a mile away, suddenly you're like, oh, look, there's a road that you can drive on.
Yeah. And just because it looks clear, there can still be some of that, what do they call it, black ice there that looks like just a little puddle of water. But
there was no black ice. It was pretty obvious. It was waving at me the whole way down here.
There you
today,
go.
So.
But you can call or text us and let us know how it's going at 901-683-0989. And before the break, we were talking about, alternative energy sources. And as a matter of fact, I bought an alternative energy source. I haven't used it. It's brand new. I just want to say one final thing about generators. If you buy one thing to think about, it's not only make sure you drain the gas out of the system or run the gas out of the system, it's also think very carefully about where you store it and how you store it, so you're not letting humidity and rust and everything build up on it, because that's the biggest problem. You have an engine that maybe is only getting used once a year or maybe once every couple of years, so
right,
you just got to think about how you treat it. So but we're going to shift gear. We're going to get out of the cold and actually get indoors. Well, I think this is indoors, but it also probably is outdoors in your home too. But let's do this, Max.
And now, a deep cut with Maximilian.
Now, you and I both are familiar with this musical because we both saw this last week before the snow rolled in.
You saw it on Wednesday. I saw it on the Tuesday, the opening night. Again, thank you, Kristen Bennett, over at the Orpheum. We love you all.
Oh, yeah. She's a great lady.
Great people. So I went to see The Outsiders, and the music was good and everything, but the thing that really stood out for me was the lighting. I kind of imagine the lighting was a character in and of itself in terms of how well it was done. Like, for example, when Pony Boy's like in the days after he gets kicked down or he's being drowned in that fountain and everything before Johnny stabs the Soch. They like have these like effects and everything, like of lighting effects and everything. And I thought that was very, very impressive. Like, and even like the set would just go dark. Like the whole stage would and the entire theater would just go dark at certain moments and everything, and then flip back on. And it's like, that was just very impressive. And so it got me thinking about the idea of strategic use of lighting in home improvement as well.
Yeah. Well, I was struck by that too, Max, because I guess, Alan, okay, now, in truth, I didn't go to as many musicals. When I was a kid, my mom took me to the opera. Mm-hmm. But now you go to the Chicago Opera House and you see these elaborate sets and you see, and a lot of times they would have things where they're moving and then you come in after the intermission and they've changed the whole set design or whatever. But it seemed like there was a big emphasis on impressive, big, maximalist type sets. These days, it seems like Broadway's going the whole other direction. Because, Max, I don't know about you. When I showed up, I'm like, okay, I was looking at the stage and I'm like, this is it. It was as minimal as you could get. But yet by lighting and moving props around and whatever, they told this pretty big story with minimalism, but it was really well used.
And I kind of like the idea of it sort of breaks the mold of, like activity, like the fact that you have activity going on before the play even starts, like Pony Boy's just in the corner writing before the play starts. Or you didn't get to experience this, Joe, but when I was at my one with opening night, we actually had the when I was telling my friend, like, don't pay attention, while everyone's walking out, because there's a pretty plot critical thing that happens just from something that happens at the end of the play while everyone's walking out. Like, the characters are like sitting around the dinner table at the Curtis house where Daryl is talking to his old friend Paul, and that's significant because Paul was like a Soch and everything, and they fell out, and so the fact that they're sort of reconciled over the dinner table is pretty plot critical.
Yeah. No, that was good. I guess we're giving spoilers too, but whatever. It's a book's like 50 years old. But Alan, what it got me thinking about is a lot of times I think we've talked about this. We always talk about the importance of lighting in your home, and this goes for the outside of your home too. But it's like, it's interesting because I think sometimes when we think of how we want to decorate our home or sometimes we think, okay, well, we have to buy this item or we have to put this thing here. But really, what if you just have an interesting light source? Sometimes that just changes the whole mood. I've changed the entire mood of my living room just by strategically placed lights. And I don't know. I'm just a big fan of minimalism and good lighting. So,
well, you do know there's an entire Tony Award for lighting.
Well, I think this one won it.
Yeah,
didn't it? I mean, because Max, isn't this one like best musical of the year or something like
Not
that?
Not best musical, best lighting.
Okay, well, they deserved it. The lighting stood out. So, yeah.
Well, in minimalist sets of where you're really trying to set the mood with lighting, I'll bring up Sweeney Todd.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
You haven't seen that one yet on stage. Not a movie where they've got the beautiful Victorian sets, but on a stage where all you have is Sweeney, a victim, and a chair.
There you go.
Everything else, including the mood of about what's about to happen, is all represented in lighting. Then I'll pick on Stranger Things First Shadow.
Wait, is that an episode?
This is actually on stage.
Oh, so they're doing Stranger Things on
Stranger
stage.
Things First Shadow is on stage and was recognized by the Tonys. And all of the great effects that you see in the TV shows and the movies are all implied by lighting.
Mm-hmm.
However, the big winner this past year was Sunset Boulevard.
Okay.
And this is not a new production, but it is supposed to be the lavish lifestyle out in Hollywood, fading Hollywood, and a lot of it is done with lighting.
Yeah.
I'll even pick on one of the perpetual favorites forever was Cats.
I knew you'd bring that musical.
Well, because Cats was while it is a huge set, nothing about the set changes.
That's sort of the trend these days. The
just
set is basically the same.
The set is done.
Yeah.
The set does not move. The
That's how
actors
Hadestown
and
was.
actresses have to move in, out, and around through the set.
Right.
And it also emphasized a lot of lighting, a lot of where your eyes are supposed to be focused, because the set itself doesn't change. It's not like Les Mis, where you have 87 different set changes.
Right.
Now, the thing is too, also with modern musicals, I'll pick on Hadestown, but I'll also pick on Hamilton because I also got to see that at the Orpheum as well, is just because the basic guts of like a set sort of stay the same doesn't mean there isn't a memorable centerpiece. For example, with Hamilton, the memorable centerpiece was the fact that the center of the stage revolved, and that created drama and everything. So you could have like, I like the idea of having like a really cool thing that sort of stays consistent throughout, even if like even if the basics kind of remain minimal.
Yeah, exactly. It's a focal point.
Focal point. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. You just said the magic words. So let's take your home and let's take all of this information from Broadway.
Yeah.
And let's start thinking home appearance, presentation, and security.
I got one other feature, but go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. What other feature you got?
Mine is to do with child psychology, because I was just thinking, if you're, okay, Max, you and I, you're watching a musical, you're watching a story.
Right.
And they put a light, just like you said with Sweeney Todd, they put a light, they make you focus on this item because, and it's because of the lighting. If the whole stage was lit up, you might miss the important stuff. You might be looking over to the right when you're supposed to look left. Well, if you're raising kids, trust me, man, it's like you need to think of every advantage you can get to. So, like, if you want the kids to be focused on, okay, it's story time. We're going to turn the lights off over there. We want, okay, it's story time. The lighting is this. When it's time to do homework, the lighting is this. When it's time to do the chores, this is and lighting does set a mood. And it does create distractions, too. And it also can make you feel bad. Bad lighting kind of
It's very depressing.
grates on you.
Yeah, very
and
depressing.
it can depress it. So if you've got a family, I really think you got to think seriously about how you light the house for good or for ill. So,
All right, and let's pick that up and let's run with adding home security to this.
oh yeah,
Because lighting is very, very important. And this is where, what are you lighting and where and why? Because if you're trying to be secure, why are you backlighting yourself so you can't see out the door?
bingo. Yeah,
You know, you open the front door, but you're now backlit, so you're easy to see, but you can't necessarily see out into the yard.
That makes me think of how when I'm walking these days, I kind of think strategically because, like my martial arts background, I try to walk in such a position to where my opponent is walking into the sun to where they can't see me, but I can still see them.
So Max is hardcore with his
Yeah, well,
lighting.
you know,
So even
I'm,
he takes
I'm
it down
thinking
to
more,
sunlight.
I'm trying to get the raccoon out of my front yard here, so.
Yeah, and lighting includes the strategic use of sunlight as well.
Absolutely.
So we'll have a few parting thoughts on that. It's good stuff. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Is there anywhere in this town where we could buy a shrubbery?
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Can we plant today, Allan, a shrubbery? I mean, it's a little icy out there.
I would wait on planting for about another week or two.
All right,
Yeah.
no shrubberies for me.
No shrubberies today.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. I'm a little disappointed nobody sent us any pictures of gorilla suits that are important to them, maybe great gorilla suit performances or whatever, because today is Gorilla Suit Day. I mean, how often do you get to say that? And, anyway. But we've had some good gorilla suit suits in the past on some good comedy shows and things. But, hey, Allan, let's get serious here, though. We were talking about lighting before the break. I just want to say one last thing about it, because Max and I both saw The Outsiders last week before the snow rolled in at different days, but it was noteworthy because of how good the lighting was and how good the stage effects were. As a matter of fact, you said it won a Tony for lighting effects. Is that what they called it? Or
Well, the Tony for last year went to Sunset Boulevard.
all right. Well, what's the award called? Because it's
It's a Tony for lighting, but I'm sure it's being considered because it is amazing lighting job.
It is. So what I mentioned was that using lighting effectively in your house creates the right mood. It can be good for, keeping your kids, keeping their thoughts organized, whatever. Just it's good use. I want to just say one thing. One little lighting thing I did last year, and it's one of my favorite things I've done, is our TV, I made an effort to hang it in a nice, appealing way in a corner of our living room, and I backlit the TV. I have a light behind the TV. It's one of the coolest effects in my whole house, and it cost me $20. It's like, I'm just saying, there's backlighting a TV or just doing something, an accent, focal point. It's amazing what it does for the mood in the room. So,
Well, it's like we have proper lighting under a cabinet or
Right.
proper lighting on a piece of artwork.
oh, yeah.
Or, we are actually in a kind of an embarrassment of riches in the simple fact that whatever lighting decision you're making, there is an LED, a rope, a bulb, a something that is going to help you achieve the effect you actually want.
And it's not going to be 500 degrees either. It's
It's
like nice
not
and
gonna
cool
cook
to the
you.
touch.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah. So get out there and be creative with the lighting in your home. So, hey, Allan, before we get to our great moments in building history, though, when it comes to Allan Spices,
well.
you're making appearances these days, right?
Yeah. We're gonna be popping up a few places
Yeah.
of if you would like to come out and meet both myself and you.
Yeah.
We will be at the lovely Agri Center on the 13th, 14th, and 15th. So come on out. I'm happy to talk about cooking, geek stuff, and or tool talk. Joe's happy to answer
You kind of wear a lot of hats at
Any
these things,
Tool
so.
Talk questions? We may even get Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio to come join us.
Are you going to have samples like with your cheese samples and?
We're gonna be introducing a few spices at the event.
Okay,
so it's
cool.
gonna be fun.
Well, Allan, I don't know if I did this correctly, but I can just tell you, I used Allan's spices about a week ago. No, actually, I used it about 4 or 5 days ago. It felt, whatever. And I'm learning to cook now. I finally thought, okay, well, after how many years, maybe it's time. So I sauteed some mushrooms and some onions, and I put your steak seasoning on there.
Okay, excellent choice.
Whatever. I don't know if that's the one I like. And so I mixed it with some bow tie pasta and some pesto. I got 3. It's one of the best things. And then you know how like when you have pasta, then the next day it tastes even better because it's like absorbing. I got 3 meals out of this. I spent $11 on the whole enterprise. So I'm like, why haven't I done this years ago, man? But anyway, the steak seasoning went well, man. I have to say.
Good. You need to call your children up and apologize for the last 30 years of bad food.
Well, their mother cooked. I mean, it's not like they're starving or anything. But Allan's Spices, go to allanspices.com, and then you have a storefront, well, a store location.
Yeah,
as well,
we're down at the Painted Tree over down by the Wolf Chase area.
Okay, perfect.
Booth
So
B20.
And then come meet Allan at the Agri Center February 13th through 15th. So, all right, well, Max, here we go, man.
And now, great moments in building history.
Now, Allan, I probably should have researched this. We're talking about, so we're talking about the Inuit people, the Vikings, and the Amish, and we're paying particular tribute to their home design because of their really good understanding of thermodynamics and basically how to stay warm in a difficult climate without using modern techniques.
Talk about the Amish being off the grid, man.
Yeah, because they
committed.
don't use electricity.
Correct.
And they've just adapted propane. They think that fits with their aesthetic.
Well, that's
but
good.
mostly we're talking about basically using science, really, just science and thermodynamics. Just really, it's amazing how advanced some of these things are. But I thought, why don't we start with the Inuit people up north? And how long have they been building igloos and everything? Because the igloo design is fascinating. It shouldn't work as good as it does, but it's nuts how good it works. So.
Well, all right. Well, the first thing we have to consider are the resources that are available.
Yeah, there's not a lot of trees growing up at
not
north.
exactly in a big old forest up there. So, this is where you're going to see a lot of earthenworks. In early American history, we had the sod houses.
Oh yeah. Some of them are still standing out in New Mexico, man.
There's
800 years later.
A lot of adobe, stone, soil, thatch. I've got a friend over in the UK that lives in a 400 year or older cottage that is still a thatched cottage.
Mm-hmm.
So these home designs were pretty awesome.
Well, they look around like, this is what we got.
This is what we
don't
got.
have a Home Depot here.
We got, when you're sitting there and you start thinking about it, really what we are discussing, just like we discuss all summer long, is either the movement or the non-movement of air.
Mm-hmm.
All summer long, we like to talk about the Mediterranean and how a lot of the constructions in the Middle East and Mediterranean area is all about moving air.
Yeah.
Because as long as that air is moving, you're not dying of the heat.
Moving air and moving water is what made civilization, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Now, when we get up and we start talking about the northern climates, trapping air and radiant heat become the buzzwords.
Bingo. Because
even when it's warm and the grass is growing, it's not warm like we think it's warm here in the Mid-South.
Right.
It's still, it's still a little on the chilly side for us. For them, if you're used to that world, if you're from Minnesota, if you're listening in Norway, which, by the way, we do have listeners in Norway, you guys are used to that stuff. And it's cold 9 months out of the year.
Right.
So the idea, when you look at like an igloo, An igloo is designed to displace air.
Yep.
It's kind of rounded. Doesn't have to be the classic igloo shape, but it is kind of rounded so that air pushes over it and around it, not into it.
I was watching a thing about igloos. You don't make if you made a square igloo, it wouldn't function the same.
Oh, it'd be wiped out.
It wouldn't. You have to do it well, for one thing, the dome construction is almost as solid as you can get. It's like we know arch construction is really strong. So the shape of it structurally is good, but it also is to do with thermodynamics. So
well, now I'm going to tie that directly. I'm going to take your igloo and I'm going to bring it right down here to the Mid-South, and I'm going to say, how many circular-shaped, cylindrical-shaped greenhouses do you see?
I don't know. I don't look at greenhouses, so
No,
there are a lot
we're
of
about
them.
to. They're about to be here. If you go to any major of landscape supplier or greenhouse in the Mid-South, when you get there, you're going to see rows and rows and rows of circular greenhouses.
All like a geodesic dome.
They're all designed to displace air around them
Smoothly.
because
Yeah,
the point of a greenhouse, the point of an igloo, is to trap air and keep the radiant energy inside the building.
And the air that you're talking about has a lot to do with. There's a reason you don't make igloos out of ice. You make them out of compressed snow because it's counterintuitive. You would think, okay, if it's got a nice ice coating on the outside, it's going to keep me warmer, but it actually doesn't, right? Because the air inside the snow is also what's insulating.
Yeah. Well, it's
really interesting that they understood all that. So
well, it's kind of like when you go explore down in a cave.
Mm-hmm.
It can be 10 degrees outside, but once you get far enough into the cave, it's 55 degrees.
Right, which is why we talked about yeah, exactly. So there's a lot to this, and a lot of our ancestors understood this pretty well. So we're going to continue to talk about it when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Are you aware that your bathroom faucet is leaking?
Are you kidding me? I just stuffed a sock in it yesterday. What else do they want me to do?
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at 901-683-0989. And Allan, I'm looking at the clock. I can see what's going on. I know what's happening out there. There's people that just rolled out of bed. They slept in today, and they just turned on the radio, and now they're frustrated. They're like, I missed everything that happened in the first hour of Tool Talk Radio, and it's gone forever. But there's hope for people in that situation, right?
It has not gone forever. It has been preserved for posterity. Pop over to tooltalkradio.com, and you can listen to, honestly, absolutely years and years of content. We make amazing background noise, and through the power of the internet, we're in somewhere close to 30 countries now.
There you go.
I find that utterly and completely amazing.
Pretty cool. So here you go. And you can binge listen years of content. So, all right. So don't fear, folks. Just, go back and listen once Allan posts it. So
tooltalkradio.com.
All right, before the break, so we're celebrating three different basically home designs. We were talking about igloo design with the Inuit people. In a minute, we're going to talk about some of the Viking home designs, and then some of the Amish home designs. Basically, the idea of how you can keep warm with an understanding of thermodynamics. And the thing about the igloo design to me that I find fascinating, Allan, for one thing, okay, I was watching a video. They were showing. They were showing a igloo design where it was 40 below zero outside. Well, so the entrance, everything about it is very critical. You use packed snow. You don't use ice. You have a vent hole on the top to allow humidity to go out and things like that. But what's interesting is at the entrance on a properly made igloo sits lower than the platform where you're doing all your living inside the igloo. And that simple elevation difference it's like an 80-degree difference. It could be 40 below outside, and it could be 40 degrees inside the igloo. It's not hot, but still, if you're wearing furs and things like that, it's definitely warmer because your body is radiating heat, and it's not going anywhere. It's circulating in the room, and the more people you got in there, the warmer it is. And so that is ingenious. There's no electricity. There's no, even without a fire going. It's just a really interesting idea about how thermodynamics work. So
well, and the biggest thing is, again, we're talking about radiant heat versus air motion,
right?
Because air motion is all right. The bizarre thing, I've kind of got to throw in a little technical thing. The bizarre thing is how heat and cold actually work.
Yeah,
and cold. We talk about, it's cold. Cold is radiating out. No, it's not. Cold is collapsing heat.
Yeah, it's an odd way of thinking about it, but it's absorbing the heat from your body. Right?
It is making the molecules move less. The good news is, as the Matrix movies have pointed out over the years, human beings make amazingly great batteries.
Yeah.
we put off some heat. We generate. I mean, if you've ever seen a human on a FLIR camera, just watch any ghost hunting show, and you will see that we glow. We're pretty bright. So with that in mind, the less air you have to heat, the easier it is to get it heated. Once you've blocked off, the airflow sucking the heat out of something, then it's easier to, once you have it warm, to keep it warm. And once you eliminate the extremes, so like in a cave, you're only warming from 55 to your comfort level. In an igloo, you're once you're in it, the temperature doesn't drop anymore. The air isn't sucking the heat away.
Right. Yeah, it's a steady, radiant kind of.
Which brings us directly to like a Viking longhouse, which is designed to put enough batteries under one roof that it stayed nice and warm.
Can you describe a Viking longhouse? Because, I mean, honestly, they...
all right,
picture a barn. They're pretty darn efficient.
Yeah, so, picture a barn. Now make the walls really thick, kind of low to the ground, and covered in sod.
There you go.
And the biggest thing was...
there's plenty of sod.
Isn't it like an A-frame as well?
It is. It is exactly an A-frame, but it is kind of a sloped and rounded A-frame. It's kind of like a cursive A as opposed to a Arabic A.
I mean, the snow has to fall off of it.
Well, the idea is that you have to have enough of a slope that the snow weight, the ice weight, doesn't crush it.
Right.
But you've also got to have it rounded enough so that the wind goes around it. And another thing is you build your building based on the wind.
So positioning it where the wind, just like a sail on a boat.
Exactly. Unlike a sail, we don't want to catch the wind. We want the wind to go on about its business. So what we're doing is we're taking the idea of an igloo and we're just bringing it up to like 30 or 40 people as opposed to 4 people.
Okay. Radiant heat once again.
We're again bringing in, if there are 20 people under this roof walking around and they got, radiant heat being generated but not being lost to air.
And I thought also with Viking longhouses, it's also the collective body heat of livestock too. Don't they keep their livestock inside those?
There are some that did. There are quite a few of the larger ones. And, if you got a big old fuzzy cow sitting over there, that's some heat.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So the name of the game here was controlling the air. How do we want the air to move? Now, in a big old Viking longhouse, you've also got a big old fire.
Yeah.
Now, could you build a fire in an igloo? Absolutely. You just got to provide a vent that's not
you gotta
going
find wood
to...
too.
Well, but there's driftwood and stuff.
Yeah.
But, they also had oil. They cooked on oil, mostly in igloos.
Oh, that's true.
So
fish oil
bad place to be a walrus or a seal on occasion.
I was also thinking, too, you know what this makes me think of? Going to kind of fantasy mimicking reality. It makes me think of the Fremen from Dune because it's like their still suits that they wear are like an effective recycler of water. So water is the name of the game in Arrakis, and heat and air seems the name of the game in these colder climates.
Actually, Max, on all three of these home designs that we're talking about today, it's the idea of not wasting energy. Because all of it is recirculating, and you're not letting it just go out of a chimney.
And Max, when you fall down the next rabbit hole and you discover that most of the sci-fi of the 50s and 60s was exploring that exact same idea.
There you go.
So everything old is new again, and everything new is old. So when we start talking about the Viking long home, we're back to having a little more wood, which is leaning us now towards the Amish home. But the idea is still not changed. We're trying to break out the wind.
Yeah.
We're trying to contain the radiant heat. And this is where modern hacks that you see, like, do you have a clay pot and a tea candle? Well, tea candles actually do burn pretty hot, but is that heat being absorbed by something, or is it just going out into the air?
Yeah, because we didn't get to our home heating thing. Maybe we'll get to that later, or maybe next week. But yeah, you can take terracotta bricks, and you can take some tea lights or some candles, and it's amazing what radiant heat you can make. You can make a heater where it's taking all of that energy and it's dispersing it.
Well,
through the
and
room.
it is, but we're working on all the same ideas.
Yeah.
So your tea candle and a terracotta pot. I don't think this thing's going to heat your room like you see grossly exaggerated on the internet, but you're not just putting the candle's energy out as light.
Yeah. Well,
we're now getting the heat radiant from an object that can radiate heat. Now, we've talked in the past about stonework in a home that radiated heat. You warmed it up.
Yeah.
So when you start talking about this, and let's wander over to the Amish home, because the Amish home, the biggest feature you say there is extremely well built.
Mm-hmm. Well, quality construction, for one thing. Good insulation.
It's the idea is we're building it once.
Yeah.
Seriously, there's not a lot of maintenance involved. There's a lot of structure. Right. I need function. I need a good, solid, functional kitchen that I don't have to worry about again the rest of my life.
Yeah, they're building stuff with. Yeah, this is going to my next generation and the generation after that. So,
we're
they're
not
building this to stay
around.
up indefinitely.
Right. There's no corners to be cut.
Right.
And what happens there is, again, we're just gonna drag all of these principles forward, including airflow. Where is it going to be positioned? How is it going to be opened? Another big thing is that big porch in the front.
Yeah.
Especially if it's at southern exposure, that means the sun gets under that porch more than it does any other side of the building.
Right. Well, it's like, do you want the sun coming up, depending on where you live? And a lot of times, like in Pennsylvania or someplace where it's cold, well, you want the sun facing east so that you want the windows or the front of your house facing east so that in the morning, that sun comes in, you open the curtains and let all that warm, free heat come in.
And then we're going to bring in the semi-feng shui of following the sun through the building.
There you go.
Because at dinner time, you want the sun coming in those windows.
There you go. So, all right. And so we're going to continue when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
But hear me and hear me well. The day will come. Oh, yes. Mark my words. Your day of reckoning is coming when an evil wind will blow through your little play world and wipe that smug smile off your face. And I'll be there in all my glory, watching as it all comes crumbling down.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Was that some sort of metaphorical reference to our snowstorm that we got, Max? I don't know. It sounded very sinister to me. I don't know. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. There's just enough time for a quick text or phone call at 901-683-0989. And if you're just tuning in, we're in the middle of celebrating really good home design that uses it uses thermodynamics to its best advantage. We were talking about the Inuit people. We were talking about the Viking home design. And now we're talking about Amish home design, where obviously they're heating their homes without the use of electricity or modern HVAC systems. And part of it, though, Allan, I want to say that it has to do with good design, good ergonomics. They have low ceiling. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the distinctive features that make these such effective homes at staying warm. So,
well, and we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up dear Benjamin Franklin.
That's on my note. Yeah, because what was the stove that he invented?
That's the Franklin potbelly stove.
Basically, the idea is instead of all the heat just going out the chimney,
exactly,
he recirculated it. And which is what the Amish do. If you look at a home in the winter, you're not seeing nearly as much steam or smoke or anything coming out the chimney. Because now, tell us about the design, because basically it's taking the heat, and you could take with one of those stoves I've seen, you could take 4 or 5 logs and keep the house warm for like 12 or 15 hours.
Well, yeah, basically
because it's recirculating everything.
Yeah, basically all we're doing is venting the fumes.
Right. Instead of sending it straight up, it's going sideways.
And you take the pipe and you turn it sideways and you take it out the side and you push that out 4 or 5 feet away from the house to make sure no cinders or anything come back on you. And now all of the heat of a very small fire. I mean, this is not like you got a big raging fire in the fireplace.
Yeah.
This is a relatively small contained heating. And that bad boy radiates. We're talking about heat radiation. Once you get the interior of these homes heated, now everything has radiant heat.
And it's not that heat that dries your skin out and everything. It's just a gentle, steady heat that keeps everything.
It is radiant heat. And by not having vaulted ceilings and by not having a lot of what we would consider more luxurious, accoutrements around the home.
Right.
This is more, no. We're pretty serious about keeping our air where we want it. We want our heat radiated. And once we have that heat radiated, we want to keep it.
I do want to say a couple things about Amish home design, too, that I found interesting. And I think maybe these are things we should think about in our own home design. For one thing, okay, their ceilings are a little lower. You're not going to find an Amish home with vaulted ceilings because that's just waste. For one thing, it's wasted space to them. And then also all that hot air is going up above and it's not helping you at all. But also that it's strategic where they place the sleeping quarters. It's up more in a lofted area where all that heat is just making its way up.
Correct.
And then the other thing I found interesting about Amish home design was that they're very good at understanding the different properties of certain stones and certain brickwork, because some stone holds heat and it actually even holds cool air better than others, because that's sort of the important thing. It's like the stove, it's in the center of the home generally, and it's not just some little stove. It's surrounded by brickwork, and inside that brickwork is all sort of sorts of ductwork and things like that, and it's dispersing it and it's spreading it out. And those stone, if you have the right kind of stone, cooperates, right? I mean,
oh, absolutely. The problem I have with the stonework is make sure that it is a stable stone if you're going to be using it for radiant heat. Generally where the Amish homes are, there's a lot of basalt, a lot of granite, that kind of stuff. And those are great stable stones. When you get into other stoneworks, especially if you have like an exterior fire pit, and we've talked about this before, you're better off with cinder block and stuff like that we know is more stable. It's not going to crack and pop on you. Right.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of something too. You were talking about stones. Well, I'm wondering about the science of like particular crystals and everything. Like we were talking earlier about the idea of lighting and home improvement. Well, one way to naturally improve lighting is I thought certain crystals have certain refractive colors that come off when the sun shines through them. And so I wonder if you could use crystals to your advantage with either lighting or whatever.
Now, crystals I don't understand very well.
Yeah, generally a really bad idea because you might be creating a magnifying glass effect and setting the house on fire. So let me just put a pin in that for you real quick.
Now, wait a minute. What if because I keep thinking in some ways I could see a future heating design to do with mirrors, reflected things. If you could, what if you're reflecting all that into something stable like a piece of iron or piece of metal or something, and you're heating that up or something? I mean,
well, now you're really getting into a much more modern aspect of heating and warming in the fact that reflective heat is a huge topic these days, especially if you look at modern insulation or survival gear, where you're looking at like a survival sleeping bag. It looks like it's made out of tinfoil. And it's really designed to radiate your own heat back on you.
Ah, there you go.
So reflective surfaces do have a lot to do with the amount of heat that is absorbed. For instance, right now that we're covered in 3 or 4 inches of ice, you do have to understand that a sizable portion of the solar energy we're being hit with is actually being reflected away.
Yep.
Which is why the tree absorbs heat so much faster than the sidewalk, because the sidewalk is reflecting most of the heat away, where the tree is absorbing it, and thus everything's falling out of the tree so much faster.
Pretty interesting, man. So
when you start getting into lighting, heat, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. You got a lot going on here. And yes, the proper use of windows and the proper use of mirrors, especially if you want to get way back in time where you may have lit your house with shiny objects.
Yeah.
You put something shiny outside and it reflected all of that light inside.
I'm thinking of your discussion with Archimedes.
Yeah. Archimedes knew how to
reflect. Kind of getting there. You kind of, see, as we go through history and look at a lot of these designs I grew up in a house in Houston, Texas that had, I'm old enough to remember not having air conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
And we had central ceiling fans.
Right.
And I mean like a big attic fan. So when you kick that baby on, the inside of your house became a wind tunnel.
Yeah.
So the exact opposite of storing heat, we were there to dissipate heat.
Well, there's good ways. Yeah.
So the exact opposite is here in the fact that we want to radiate heat and we want to preserve it. And when you look at like Amish construction and you look at all the big thick woods and the stoneworks and the brickworks, all of that was designed to get warmed up and stay warm.
Yep. Good stuff, man. I think we need to think more about all these things in modern home design. So it's about function.
The good news is a lot of it is creeping back in so many new modern ways.
Very cool, man. So, well, guys, another show is evaporated before our ears, so it's time to get out of here. So, on behalf of my buddy Allan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.
Now break out your gorilla suit.